I forget. All right, so we're recording now. We got futures. Check these guys. See how we're looking. Not terrible. Came out, opened up, trying to push through that 5-day. We'll see. It's a rising 5-day coming off the 10-20 cloud right there, the daily. So looking good there. Let's check gold and oil before we get started. Not perfect. I noticed Dixie came out a little strong tonight. Yeah, see Dixie, a little gap up off the close and then put a little high. So if we put in another high right here, that would be a bullish sign. We do have the declining 5-day, which generally speaking is bad news. So, Dixie push up and then fade back, but still below the 10-20 cloud. But that would be the first sign. If we clear that 5-day and get above that 10-20 cloud on a little momentum right there, that would be concerning. As far as growth plays and your gold and silver plays, all your precious metals, right? That would be concerning. But let's get started with what we're here to start with tonight, which is the radar. And this comes from Traders Lab. I joined that and I was in it for about 6 months and then I stopped. And then I came back to it and I really like these radar charts, started getting into them. And so many times, sort of like a VWAP, you're just slapping it on there and you don't know really the ins and outs of a VWAP. You should study whatever indicator you're using extensively. And I've read Brian Shannon's books. I've watched endless videos from Brian Shannon. I've just done extensive work into VWAPs, and I feel like I have a good understanding of that. And it's a major part of my trading. And this has become sort of a go-to. And if you don't know what you're looking at, sometimes it's good just sort of stop and be like, what is this? Why is it blue? Why is it purple? What does the pink mean? And so I figured I'd go through that tonight. The first thing I'll tell you, just to orientate you at what you're looking at, how are these ranked? These are ranked actually down here. And this is, I would say, a standard ranking system. So what Traders Lab has done, and I think it's really good, they have put all the ETFs, or the ETFs that matter, and they have taken and ranked them, and they're clearly using a weighting system based on how they're finishing the day, the week, the month, 3 months, 6 month, the year, and then percent off the lows, percent from the highs. And they probably could be using some relative strength in there as well, which would make sense because when you look at this is relative strength rank and volume adjusted. We'll get into that in a second. So this is where these rankings, so CARS, GDX, SIL. You go up here and this is CARS, this is GDX, and this is SIL. So you can see that, right? Gold miners is GDX, silver miners is SIL, and CARS, C-A-R-Z, ETF is auto manufacturers. So they're ranking the ETFs based on this and perhaps some proprietary information. But you can clearly see the shading, how it's doing. You can basically use that shading to see how they're performing. And it's really good. And so that's how they're ranking them. So when you're looking at this, the spider chart, that's not how they're being ranked, or it may be a part of how they're being ranked, but it is not ranked. So that kind of throws you off. Like, one of the good things is this is what you call a snapshot. And that's what you want. It's a quick snapshot. Same way I use the relative rotation graph. I was looking at it earlier. There's our small caps, right? Our IWM. Look at that nice increase in velocity heading for the money angle. So this is a snapshot. Look at the mids. Showing good, strong breadth right there, coming from the lagging into the improving, right? So similar type of concept, but completely different. It's a snapshot. And so that's what you're seeing here. So every evening when I get on here, I see a snapshot of these top 20 ETFs ranked by their system that they're using, their weighted system. And then you come down here and look at it. So what are we looking at? First of all, you can see it's got the same thing that's up here is down here on the bar. So if that's easier for you to read, you can use that. Let me drop something down here. Make sure I stay on track here. So these are just a chart in the end. It's just a graph. It's XY type deal. And let me show you. Here it is. So I'll put it on PDF just so it won't keep popping up in front of me. So you have one, so axes, okay? So axis, we have the week, that's one, and this is the axis coming off the center point, and then the month That's 2, 3 month is 3, 6 month is 4, and 1 year is 5. So we have 5 spokes, if you will, coming off the wheel right there. That's the easiest way to think about it when you're looking at it. And then this blue area over here, this is the relative strength. Okay, so it's tracking the relative strength with shading, similar to like I put my relative rotation histogram. I put it on a histogram, the momentum and relative strength on a histogram. They have put it on a spider graph. So that's what that is. That's relative strength in blue. And then in the pink is the volume relative strength. And to make you understand that, to help you understand what we're looking at there, it's sort of like on balance volume. So this is my relative strength indicator from TA Plot. And he also has, and I use it quite a bit, on balance volume there. Oh, we're on Dixie. Let me get on Meta. And so it's doing a look back period on the volume and figuring out a measure of the volume. So this is the on balance volume right there. So it's looking at the on balance volume, basically, is the way I look at it. And it's looking at the relative strength. So that's what that pink shading is. If I go back to Trader's Lab, when I bring it up now, it'll make sense to you. If you look right there where it says 6 month relative strength rank. So we're looking at this area right here, 6 month relative strength right there off that dot. And it's showing you, if you read right there, relative strength rank is 30%. Volume adjusted relative strength is 70%. So when you look at it now, it makes sense to you. That pink shows that then that's a positive. That's what you want to see. The volume is coming in heavy, basically, over that 6 month time period. And it's showing relative strength, but it's not as good. The relative strength is not as good as the unbalanced volume. So that's a good thing, right? So over here, you can see naturally that looks good, right? Because there's an increase in the relative strength, more than likely, probably priced with it, which is why you have to go to a price chart to see all that. But as a snapshot, that's what you're looking at. How do they get that? Basically, they're plotting it on the spider chart. And if I can just show you real quick here. See if I can draw some lines. I'll make too much fun of me here. Like that now. So we're going to label this. Basically, what we have is there's your first spoke, and then I'm going in the month direction. So 2, and then we have 3, and here's 4, and there's 5. And if this is simplistic for you, remember we've got learners of all ages and abilities in here. So I'm just showing them. So this is 1, 2. These are the spokes. 3, same numbers we just wrote down. 4 and 5. Those are the same spokes right here. That's where we look. Now, these go in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. That's how it's charted. Erase that for now. So each level, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Everybody gets that, I'm sure. And then you just come over here and let's just randomly put some. So there's my 3, a little sloppy. Let's go with a 2. Let's go with a 4. So I don't do in descending order of numbers. And then let's go back with a 3. And let's give it a 1, like that. And so now when you're plotting it, and we're just say we're plotting the relative strength, and we're plotting 1, you have a 1 and a 3. So you come to spoke 1 and you start from the center and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you go back, you have 1, 2, and there's our 3 right there. I'm just going to put a dot. So there's our dot, 2 and 2. So this is what it's doing. In other words, on the month, there's your dot, 3 and 4. So we come out 1, 2, 3, 4. We put a dot, basic math, right? And we go 4 and 3. Just bear with me. 1, 2, and here's 3. Again, we have different levels of learners, 5 and 1, and people learn in different ways. And here's 1 right there. And then now you simply connect the dots. We'll change the color up. Let's go with orange. Cool. All right, and now we connect the dots, and it should look similar to those other shapes that you see. Like that. There you go. And then we would color code it, right? Fill it in like that. And that's what it's doing over and over and over again. So just wanted to kind of show you that. So, you can go back if you want to rewind it and look at it later. That is how this is plotting on the chart. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, when we go back to it, you say, well, how do I know what's good, what's bad? So the fuller, the better. Okay. So, and the first thing, if you, sort of immediately take that in, then you should look at this one and say, well, that doesn't look good. That's because it's not, even though it's the number one ranked. Why is it number one ranked? Which again, it gets back down to over here, and it's doing it off of price. So by price, where is it at? On the day, it was 0.42. For the week, it actually lost money. For the month, it's up 2%. You can see these other guys are doing a lot better. But again, by the weighting and how it's doing, it could be a low volume pullback. So then you have to go to the chart. And so that's a quick snapshot. It's showing you it's number one, and it's showing the volume has pulled back. Well, if we see the volume has pulled back on cars to say the 20 EMA, well, then that's a low volume pullback with the number one ranked ETF. So we go to cars, which is actually a combination of autos and technology, future vehicles and technology, right? So that's like your Tesla, right? That's a perfect one to be in. So, and then, I cheated. I knew the answer to that. It's off the 20 EMA. So we have a low volume pullback into the 20 EMA. Right off this mini coil. That's very healthy. Now, you can see where the volume has just totally dissipated. I mean, really dissipated off of it. So I'm, for me personally, I'm not interested in that, but I am interested in any of these pullbacks that are of nice. So HSAI, I know from my studies, I believe it's China connected. So we have a China connected play that's pulling back. I don't like that pullback personally. And then I come over here, I look at AMPX. That one's off the 50, decent. I kind of like that one. So maybe I go down to my chart where I'm a little more comfortable and I say AMPX and I bring it up. Hey, we're below the earnings VWAP. That's the first thing I see. If that's the earnings, no, it's not earnings. Yeah, it is. So earnings VWAP, but we are coming back to the 50. We have huge volume. Look at that volume back here. And that's how I find it. And on my relative rotation histogram, we are now showing persistent improvement. So that one interests me. It interests me a lot because we have pulled back into the 50 EMA. Wouldn't take much to get back above that 1020 cloud where I like to live through that high of the day on intraday volume. So I write that one down. That's a very good looking play for me. Now, as far as digging in further, you're like, well, what's the movement on it? Well, this was a 7% day. Here's a 5%. So in terms of ADR, ATR, I mean, you're moving pretty good there. So nice and tight, almost VCP-ish, if you will. You can almost draw, decent little coil right here. Nice and tight right there. So AMPX goes on the list. So that's sort of how you look at it. Now, just to finish up with this, the fuller the better. So this is great. Like the silver miners, that's what you want to see. Now, you don't want to see this. So what we're looking at here is, notice how the pink is over here in the middle. So that 3 month, let's put it on there. That 3 month, look at the change and look at the volume adjusted relative strength, 10%. That's not what we want. We want to see the pink either outperforming or right there with it. So again, this is very weak. This is strong right here. The week to month is improving. Look how the pink actually slightly outperformed the blue. And then on the week, it did very well. It wasn't great, but it did very well. Silver, obviously, looking really good, but we'd like to see that volume level or outperforming. Those are the little things you sort of look for when you're down in here. You want to see that good fullness. This one, in my opinion, is the best looking one. Why? Because we saw very strong 3 month relative strength, both on the on bounce volume and the relative strength. Same thing here. And then look at last week, very, very strong. And the pink actually outperformed. So the volume adjusted actually outperformed. That looks great. And I would expect to see this shift backwards. In other words, 6 months, it's going to be over here. If we see another 3 months of improvement or stability, it's going to be just huge and fat. That's what it looks like to me. Like it's got that opportunity to be. So when I immediately look at this page, that's what I see. And over here, I see where we had a strong month, good volume. So potential, right, on pharma, we're seeing a lot of potential there. Didn't have a great week. Let's look at PJP. Not familiar with this ticker. Looking good on price. Got a mini coil off the 10. Oh, I love it. Look at that volume. See it? Look at that volume down here. And man, not quite as tight as I like to see that coil after it moves into stage 2 for that first coil, but that's that first coil after stage 2 with good volume, decent mover too. It's 1.5% day. You can almost play the ETF, but you can go back and then you look. So now that you've identified that, it looks so good on that previous month. Had a down week, it's holding above the 1020 cloud, and then you look for your setups, and we don't have any right now. You can see these guys, if you scroll over them, they're extended, which makes sense, right? Looking at that ETF, but now we wait for a pullback on the pharma plays. And what interests me is that volume. See that pink volume, that volume adjusted relative strength, how far it's out there. So this could be the very early signs of, again, as it shifts back, of it becoming fuller and fuller as we move forward, if you will. I go down to the metals and mining. Not looking great right here. Don't like this one at all. I mean, that concerns me because I really like LEU and I want to get in it. But overall, and we've all been trying to get in USAR and MP, these military metals, and they're setting up, but they're not supported. And that's what this snapshot is for. They're not supported by the spider chart. Over here, this looks great. Copper looking really good. So that's all in the back of my mind as we go into our setups. Online retail. Not seeing the follow through that we wanted to see this week in the online retail. That's XLY type plays. Amazon, struggled a little bit. Natural resources, same thing. Not liking that at all, right? Not liking that at all. Love telecommunications. Look at telecommunications. No setups, but I have one that I went and found. So how do I do this? I go in, and then, like I said, it's in the back of my mind, and I'm fixing to move on to that. But it's in the back of my mind once I've seen all this. Then when I go to my setups, and when I get through everything, I go in and I do, once I've gone through and I've done all my routine, and then I come in here, and I think it was MGNI. There it is. So I know that MGNI is in communications, it's advertising, right? I know that they had the Google News. I know that all that stuff, and the reaction of MGNI, which I was watching last week, actually had a low volume pullback on Thursday. Was not bad, right? Nobody's selling, in other words. We had a low volume pullback off the Google News. So that interests me. See that? So we had the Google News. Google took off. MGNI did not sell off. There was a lot of talk about their advertising and whatnot with the internet, and you can Google all that stuff, but it did not sell off, and it's being supported by this strong level right here, and this 20 EMA continues to hold. It's never closed below the 20 EMA after popping out of this consolidation after a huge move. And so now I've got all eyes on MGNI tomorrow. That's my favorite setup at this point, and that's based off of telecommunications. Look how fat and round it is. The fuller, the better. The fatter, the rounder, the better it is. And this look at that pink. See the volume. So now when you look at these kind of spider charts, hopefully that helps you to see what you're looking for. You're looking for the fullness, and you want to see the volume outperforming or level with that relative strength, which is the blue. And so when you see purple, that means they're stacked, and that's a good thing. When you see just pink, that's a great thing because it's outperforming it on the volume. See right here, but then now on the relative strength, and then now on the weekly, it's back to outperforming it. But it's a little sloppy on the line online. There's no argument about that. So kind of MGNI, you can argue kind of in between both of those, but telecommunications looks great in my mind if I'm ranking these, and that's where the snapshot comes into play so quickly. So you bring it up, and the first thing you look at right here, and you're like, oh, gold miners looking good, silver miners, lithium, like those three for like right now. And then metals kind of fading off on me a little bit, copper looking good, and then telecommunications. So if I'm ranking them, I'm sort of giving the cheat to the pink. So I'm like lithium, strong week, very strong month and 3 month, looking good because the volume, it's well-rounded, it's full. They're both matching each other around that turn. That's number one. You can almost just look at them right here. Let's see if I can back it up just a little bit where we can still see it. Yeah, there we go. So let's just look at them. If I was ranking them, I'm not going to bring up a marker, but basically I would say lithium, in my opinion, and this is a little bit subjective. Number one, lithium. Number two, I'm gonna have to go with telecommunications. And in the back of my mind, I know everybody kind of chased silver and gold at the end of the week. and I sold it. So, I'm like, but one, lithium, two, telecommunications. Could argue three with copper because of the pink is outperforming over here on the silver and outperform about the same on the gold. So sort of, it's not going to be a perfect, it could be like one lithium, two telecommunications, three copper, three gold miners, something like that. That's pretty much the top ones right there. And then you just kind of watch and see how they perform for the week. But all that's now in the back of my mind as I go through the setups. So that's the radar charts, just to kind of give you an overview of how those guys work. Take that down. And let me bring up the Phat-plan, and we'll continue with our regular broadcasting duties. All right, so, oh, you know what? I like it better. Hold on a second. I'm gonna bring it up off my Substack. It just looks smoother to me. All right, let me grab a sip of wine. All right, so market summary. I think again, like I usually say, you can read through that on your own. I will say XLC, looking great. Does look really good. There are some potential areas in XLRE and XLV, which it gets back to that spider chart in the bios, kind of showing that they've got some potential there. Notable economic events came in weak, but everybody pushed through it on the NFP. And then this week, I think it's important to note that we got that PPI. Lord, lost my. Yeah, CPI and PPI and CPI. CPI being the biggest one is what I was trying to say. Got tongue twisted. That's usually one that's pretty important to watch. And then you got initial jobless claims. So you do have, even though it's a little bit light, it's heavy on what is in there is going to have some major impact. Major gainers, Google, of course, and Avago off of earnings, and then Apple, kind of following with Google on this federal court ruling thing, which is why I got my eyes on MGNI. And then when you look at the spider charts and you see how good that theme is moving. Major decliners, Lulu with earnings. Well, you can't bet, it's a 50-50 event. CRM dropped and then popped back up. So kind of going along with that online retail, showing some stamina right there, some bounce back. Mega cap tech, I mean, you can almost buy the mags right now on any dip. Sectors, XLC, extreme volume again. That's why I'm leaning that way. And the best setup I'm seeing right now is maybe MGNI. Of course, you can look again any kind of dips with like Meta and Google and Netflix. Any kind of dips in that area. And then technology actually leading with the volume on the equal weight. So interesting. But I mean, communications is right there with it. Deep view market themes, social media. So again, Meta, Netflix type stuff is right there. And then genomics. So again, the bios kind of showing themselves. Home construction, of course, we nailed nail in AIL. We absolutely crushed it, hit plus 20%. Solars, I missed the wagon on that. When Trump kept sort of talking about the windmills and posting about them, I was just weary of going against anything from the federal government, but they do continue to show relative strength. So potential dip buys there, although oil, XLE energy faded. So I don't know about that. Steel showing good. So again, those military metals, necessities looking good. Don't know about semiconductors. They did put in, let me show you on the Sox will put in a hammer. So, they could melt some faces off tomorrow. Look at that. The 3X for SOX Sox semiconductors. I mean, boy, all eyes on Nvidia. Look at that thing. That is accumulation volume. And if Nvidia decides to go off, I mean, boy, we could rip some faces off right there. Key observations, we already went through the spider chart enough today. I'm going to continue to go through that. Market carpet for the week. This is why I said, buying the dips, dips in the big boys. So Meta, Google, Avago, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Walmart, Cost. The big boys are moving. And those are easy to pick up. You can pick them up off of a Verizon 5-day. If we see continued strength overall the market, look at the big boys moving. Oracle even moving back in there. So that's interesting. I didn't notice that. Oracle. That's one I had wanted to get in. Yeah, a little pop. We got earnings. Oh boy, that's tempting, but we'll see. Let that play out a little bit. Market sentiment, you can look through that. It's all basically leaning bullish. Site charts of note, when we do break these trend lines, the market does tend to roll up. So it kind of confirms the direction of the NAMO. Right now, it's been for quite a while now just moving sideways, but a break of this trend line, in my opinion, would confirm the direction up for the NAMO. So Cleveland oscillator. Dow Jones transports, if you are looking to short something, this is a pretty good area off of anytime we break down below that 75 after pushing through it. So now we're talking about kind of leaning into cars a little bit, but that's a little more on the tech side. So this is more like maybe Uber and your large transports. This is Dow transport. So you can, well, here's your tickers down here: Alaska, American Airlines, car, and I was going to short car, but Webull didn't have any shares to short on car, so that was bad planning on my part. Friday, I decided that was the one, and when I went to short it, I didn't check. So potentially any of these other guys could be shorts as well. SPY, just brutal, man. Beautiful. Like, I mean, just brutal in a good way. Like just rolling up volume, killing it, crushing it. SPY deep view market. At once again, we got the yellow, but we were still in stage 2, Sam Weinstein. And once again, it was a dip buy, dip buy, dip buy, dip buy. I mean, just buy the big boys when that happens, right? I did not, but you could. Weekly relative rotation graph. We see here XLY looking good, decent, not quite an increase. I mean, if you look closely right here, it's not quite an increase on the velocity. So each node is 1 week. But it did move forward and towards the money angle, and it is the only one of all the sectors currently doing that. XLC, we want to see it push through and get into that improving momentum. XLV, again, getting back to like the bios, healthcare, all those people that bought UNH, want to see it go up. XLRE did turn up, that's a positive, but again, they generally tend to fail before they move through into the improving. However, with the lower interest rate, everybody leaning towards that, we could see a move there. Key ratios from Friday, pretty solid. Oh, no, it's not. Key ratios, so definitely a conflicting signal. This was the one conflict in terms of relative rotation. We don't see it on the relative rotation graph yet. Where's XLP? I mean, it's not turned up and moving. That's usually the one that really starts to get it going to a defensive shift. And we don't really see that yet. XLU not really doing anything. But in fact, XLU looks terrible on the price chart. But XLP not showing anything there right now. However, it's just the one potential. When you look at discretionary versus on Friday, this is a 1-day event. 1-day event. It's there. I mean, or they could be sort of getting. Let's look at. Let me stop mumbling around. Let's go to XLP. It's at the bottom of the range. But as you can see, we had accumulation volume. Now my momentum on my relative histogram, relative rotation histogram hasn't improved. So if I zoom in on there for you, you can see where it's still lengthening. But it is concerning that it put in a heavy volume candle with an upside reversal. A move through that high of the day would put it back above the 50, which, as you can see, has the potential to get it going. Anytime we cross that 50 with a close. across it right here. So that's just something to keep an eye on. It's not so much that I'm going to buy Walmart as much as it is to see if the institutions continue to put in accumulation volume on the defensive side. Before we look further at the 500, S&P 500, look at a couple of these offensive versus defensive charts. And what we're looking at here is XLY versus XLP. And as you can see, it is super strong. So XLY outperforming and XLY still outperforming. And you can look at the downturn and say, well, Phat, it's turning down. Yeah, in a very nice uptrend. So we want pullbacks in this uptrend. We want it to pull back to this green line and buy it right here. XLY, Amazon, right? We want it to pull back. Growth versus SPY. Liking this key level right here. I feel like we're gonna you hear about melt up all the time, but I feel like XLK was SOX, although it did put in that hammer. So this is going to be really fun to watch it play out. But I feel like this key level is going to come into play, do a little basing and then make it move up. XLC just absolutely versus SPY just absolutely busting loose, right? Looks fantastic. Google led, of course, but I got no problem jumping on the bandwagon with Netflix or Meta. Netflix has a decent looking chart right now. Meta is actually coming off of lows. So consumer discretionary, got some work to do. Value versus SPY. XLI, I mean, looks terrible. Financials look horrible. So there was some news that came out. I posted about it. The one I am interested in is SoFi. Really interested in SoFi. Looks good. And then materials, not looking great, but not terrible. Trying to bounce off that trend line, actually. And then energy looking terrible. So SoFi, let me find it. Instead of talking about them, I'll show you. Okay, so SoFi posted this article about it. It's doing that $25 thing. So the U.S. Open banking landscape is undergoing a major shift as large banks like J.P. Morgan. Let me blow this up a little bit. I can't see it. I know y'all can't see it. J.P. Morgan Chase began imposing data access fees on fintechs, potentially costing the industry hundreds of millions annually, while the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reviews its regulations that previously prohibited such charges. According to multiple industry reports, this regulatory uncertainty has sparked fierce opposition from 80 fintech CEOs and prompted strategic exits like Visa's closure of the U.S. open banking business, creating a competitive landscape that favors bank-chartered fintechs like SoFi, while threatening non-bank payment processors and data aggregators. So SoFi is to the advantage, and people like Affirm are not, is what I'm taking from what I have read. And this is very interesting. So the most vulnerable players include buy now, pay later providers like Affirm. They depend on third-party aggregators. So I am really interested in that. So I'm watching, potentially short on Affirm and banking, XLF going down, and then longing SoFi as a trade, pair trade. And then defensives versus SPY, we have just terrible. Charles Barkley, terrible, terrible. Potentially real estate trying to turn up here. We'll see. I would say that on real estate, if you look right there, you just draw a line off of right here off this high. And if we break that recent lower high, that would then change my opinion on XLRE, right? You'd want to start looking to get long. And again, we have the potential with the interest rates and all that excitement behind it to be an early entry to ride it really all the way up to at least here, right? I mean, so we've got some potential there. It's just not there for me yet. And then technical interpretation. Oh, yeah, I already did that. And then there's how I finished out the week. Not as good as I'd like. I made some mistakes on trades I didn't post about, but you know what? I'm not going to complain about being at all-time highs year to date. All right. Let's go ahead and check let's run through our Moglen ETFs, and then we'll get started with our setups for Monday. All right, so we can see, and remember, we kind of got that bios in the back of our mind. Let's see if I'm, oh, yeah, there we go. We kind of got those bios in the back of our mind. We kind of got, again, that spider chart in the back of our mind, and we go through them. So MSOS, one to keep an eye on for a pullback here, like it's doing. We missed the move. That 1020 kind of barely went through and undercut it. Wouldn't be surprised to me if we saw an undercut of this low right here, come in and flush it out. When it flushes down to the 50, that's where I'd look. Matter of fact, better move that alert to right there. Move this one to right there. And just through those lows, flush down to that 50 and then roll back up. That would be a likely outcome. So RW, see what we got here. So if you haven't followed us before, we're looking for them to be pointed right here. We want them going at that angle right there, and we want to see increase in velocity. IDNA, good, good. Okay, genomics, immunology, and healthcare. So IDNA, writing that one down, and that kind of goes along with our bio look. ID, well, the pin's going out. IDNA. All right, we'll add that on the watch list, and then BBH, biotech, there it is. So BBH. So you can see where the relative rotation graph and all that kind of ties in, and then IBB as well. XBI, of course, as well. And then you start thinking towards Labu, which is already up there pretty good, but an RRG, genomics. So looking for that little pushback. So RRG might be one to look at. Where I took a little dip as opposed to the others. Well, pushing out. So right through that looks good through those highs right there. So that's not my style, playing that 2563 break. But boy, that would be a good one. If I was going to play one, that would be it. But I would be rather in here playing here Friday through that low volume pullback right there. Just missed it, Can't catch everything. So the bios look good. Technology, oof, man. Guys are coming in. I'm starting to see some wavering on the drive, which again gets back to the cars, right? So we saw it on that radar graph. ONLN though, there's our online retail looking decent increase in velocity. Gotta say it's the bios and ONLN. So we have further, confirmation. SSO, no. 50 maybe, not quite there. Look at drive, kind of short velocity this week. Kind of got that rollover look. Doesn't mean like short it. It just means dip buy, right? Dip buy potential right there. It's got that look. Robo's got that look. iDrive, shorter velocity. It's a stronger of the three, but shorter velocity this week. So kind of not interested right there. iBuy, online retail again. So iBuy with a huge flip around and come back. So online retail just keeps showing itself, which gets me back again, right down iBuy, gets me back again to MGNI. Cloud, so Cloud trying to make a return right here. Let's see if it came from the improving. Yeah, so that usually is a good sign when they make that flip around. So definitely Cloud showing some improvement. Cyber, no. Hack, no. Nothing there. Energy. Grab a sip of wine. All right. Look at those oil, whatchamacallits, Vanek Oil Services again. Let's look at that one on the chart. OIH. The damn Monative is so smart. I see you just they set the bar so damn high, they better hit it and then some. Let's see. OIH. Yeah, I mean, that's very healthy down here, catching momentum. On balance, volume's a little weak, but I like that accumulation volume. Not seeing any distribution on that oil pullback at all. That's one to watch, keep an eye on. Not necessarily for tomorrow, but one to watch. All right, what we got left? Financials. So one I want to see is XLF. So ITB home construction still looking strong. We've been tracking. I mean, we didn't track it. We nailed it, right? We bought NAIL off of ITB right there. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Should have left some, but I didn't. KRE. So the regional banks holding up on the relative rotation graph. XAR, man, space coming in. So Rocket Lab and Katos, big days tomorrow for Rocket Lab and Katos. Let's look at them. They're both, I want to say, right off the 50. You know, they're in danger of downtrends. Yeah, I mean, they're in danger of downtrends, man. There's no way around it. They need to do something this week. At least create a range, you know, a little range bound right here, something like that. But right now, my goodness. I mean, no distribution volume in here, and people are holding. I mean, you can see the light volume. So, I mean, this could easily flip into like, there it is again, you know, explosion, consolidation, light volume, explosion higher. Yeah, sure, could. And I mean, I got it on the list, right? I'm watching it for that. But if it fails to hold right there on that pin bar, goes below that low, that area right in there around 61, we break 60, it's over. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Katos, that was Katos. Rocket Lab, flip whatever I just said, Rocket Lab with Katos. And then, so here's Rocket Lab holding that 50, got some distribution volume in there. Now that was that short report, which is why you got to follow the news every day. I got my perplexity and I read it every single morning, every single afternoon. And I've got it set on, you know, like a little market report that it gives me. I can show you. One second here, just to give you the idea, you know, what we're doing here. So let me find it. Well, I'll give you an example of this one too. So this is one that I haven't set, and this is on banking. And because banking kind of sends a lot of general directions in the market, so I have it report any consequential news developments about U.S. open banking regulations, bank data access fees for fintech, or major strategic moves by banks or fintech aggregators today. And I've been running this for over a month now. Like I just run it and it gives me that report. Every day at a certain time, and I just read through it, and that's how I knew and was tracking the SoFi, right? And then I have it give me a market report, daily market review, and I do this twice a day. I have it send it out to me. U.S. stocks, man, it's similar to what I put in the Phat-plan, right? That's basically what I'm doing. Put in the Phat-plan. So it gives me that report on whatever went on. And I check it in the fintech. And then that way I click on it and go through it. And that's just over and over and over again. All right. Let's see here. XLI. Nope. XLRE, maybe. Trying to turn up. XLF looking bad right there. You see it bending left? Looking bad. That Friday really knocked it off course. You know, we'll see if it recovers. All right. And then, oh, the heck. Let's see here. Consumer discretionary. Knock these out and get the setups. Tan, can't deny that strength. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Gonna write that one down. Tan. Jets, ever so slightly weakening. Now I'm getting a little partial because I'm watching those transports for failure. And then XRT retail again showing up. I got that one in the wrong spot. IBLC looking ugly right there. What is that? Oh, blockchain, man. Sorry, Bitcoiners. I mean, it's that thing's going down, man. There's no way around it. I hate that for you. You know, when it turns up, I'll buy with you. All right, let's go to let's take that off. And let's go to our deep view and get into our setups for the night. So we always go to our dashboard. And in the Phat-plan is the market trend. We did our ETF review. We did our themes. We already went through those. Group ranks, it's the same thing. And then performance bar, we want to check our S&P 500 and just kind of see how it did for the week. This is our price change on the current week. And you can see it over here as well. And you can see XLK actually sitting out pretty good on the run rate. 50-day, looking pretty good. It just keeps my eyes. I just go through it over and over again. Daily heat map, deep view leaders. And what this allows me to do is check the deep view leaders, and then I can just click on them and I can kind of see how they're acting over here as I go through it. And a lot of times the deep view leaders, of course, give an earlier direction than say something like the S&P will, in my opinion. You can see that the biotechs over here are doing really good. And so you just kind of, you're clicking on them. You want to see accumulation volume, like you see right there. Ions, accumulation volume. You're looking for that fat green volume, and there it is down there on the bottom. Versus maybe you come over here to metals. Got good accumulation volume as well. Good. And then you come over here to tech. Oh, look at SDX. Looking good. Just need a pullback. WDC. I had that one on the watch list Friday and didn't buy it. And so I'm just clicking through them. There's Oracle again. So Oracle has a pullback and definitely could see that one. Oh, I got to write that one down. Definitely could see that one being one that you play up to earnings and just take the money, right? Maybe you leave a little bit because you want to have some fun. Let's check on here and see where earnings is. But I think that Oracle has that FinTwit, a little bit of a FinTwit name to it. I think that's why it popped Friday, back above that 50 EMA. Nice way to manage risk. It's a 3-bar break, so you can play it through the high of the day. Looks like earnings is that Wednesday? September the 9th. All right. Yeah, Tuesday. Only got one day. But could definitely play it for one day. You know, leave you a little 20% left in there or something for earnings. Just so you can post on Twitter, yeah, I held it and made some money. But definitely I could see it having a day through that 3-bar break through the high of the day on intraday volume. You know, I could see buying it and making it a day trade right there. All right. Go ahead and pick our pace up here. We'll go to our watch list. Let's see what we got for tomorrow. So first thing, this is my little special 10-20 cloud pullback. And I've run about 8, maybe close to 10 watch lists through it. As you can see, it's not that many, right? That's not a whole lot of stocks. LSCC, so we'll go ahead and let me move this over so you can see. I think people like seeing it like this so they can see what the setups are. And if you haven't been with us, upside reversals, bullish reversals, oops reversals, key reversals, hammer bars, mini coils, RMV, relative measured volatility, inside days, power 3 sometimes, and the launch pad just for a little added. We kind of know that it's in it. You can see we don't have any in launch pads, but LSCC, so a semiconductor play that has pulled back. And as I showed you, Sox will put in a hammer. Look at that relative strength right there on LSCC. I mean, that looks ready to go. So I like LSCC, definitely gonna put that one on the list. EVLV, nice low volume pullback right there. Earnings decent right here, looking good. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's EVLV, and what I've gotten to where, like, so I see electronic equipment, that is mostly infrastructure plays. So I'll just bring it over and I'll type in ticker EVLV and just see what we got. Yeah, there we go. So security technology company specialized in AI-powered security screening solutions. That's different. That is very different. So our cyber plays weren't looking good on our relative rotation graph, but 102% over the past year. So this is a new one for me. That's very interesting. So it's a fresh one, right? So we're keeping that one on the list. Wow, good looking accumulation volume. That was a nice one. IVZ. No, Katos, definitely. Anytime Katos shows, right? And we know XAR looking great, little dip buy on the relative rotation. graph. I mean, we kind of check it. Bit farms, no. Riot. It's interesting. So so these are Bitcoin miners slash AI infrastructure plays now, right? Nope. Rocket Lab, of course. So Katos and Rocket Lab, both in pullback setups, and of course, then we're going to add on the inverse. I mean the X. So 2X or 3X, and then MG&I. There it is. There's my favorite setup. SRAD. Anytime I get double upside reversal bars, and it's casinos and gaming, and we know that Stop Talk Weekly has some of those in his port, casinos and gaming plays, so definitely interested there. And it shows on the Deep View theme tracker that casinos and gaming is doing well. PRIM, no. Oops, skipped AL and Y. No. Let me go back to that. It's biotechnology play. I don't normally play them, but I think with that accumulation volume, and the only ones that I allow on my list come from the Deep View leaders or the Deep View liquid leaders. The rest of them have the bios blocked. So if they show on that one, then I'm interested. Mod, automotive parts. So we saw that weakness in cars, and it's not a real big dry up in volume, so no. STRL, no. CHW air freight. So transports are weak, so I'm going to stay away from that. FIX. And so that's why I do all that work. That's why I saw it, because I'm going through them, I'm seeing them. So XLI is not doing good, but is FIX more of an infrastructure thing again? So usually I run them through at the end. I just run them through and tell them, give me a theme chart list. Ticker FIX. I've played this one before. You think I'd know more about it, but I do not. Grab simple line. Plumbing controls. Okay, so again, that's infrastructure. I believe what's connected to that, because it's doing all the work. Could be wrong on that. And then you could look at it a little bit on the lower interest rates being connected to AI. I think it is like the cooling and all that stuff. Not target. No, is fix connected to AI. Normally, it always does that when I'm with you guys. Never does it. Normally, it's like perfect at reading and figuring out what you want. Yes, there we go. So through its roles, critical infrastructure provider. So fix, another one of those AI type plays. And I prefer playing it that way through these guys, kind of the old picks and shovels type stuff. MNSO, love it. So that is retail connected. So that online retail that we're watching kind of make that move. That's a great one. Look at that power earnings gap. Is it power earnings gap? I mean, I'm going to call it one. 7% there, but we had the huge gap up there. So 16%. First touch of the 10 EMA and bounce right there. Looks great. RMV, pretty tight. Hammer, yes, please. AAOI, no. VXF. Fund, hold off on that one. CQQ, still traded fund. Invesco China Technologies with low volume pullback. You know, this thing can move decent. I'm going to add it on there. It's an ETF, but I'm going to add it on there. And then Soxel, you got to get it on there if it's going to show, right? Hammer bar with accumulation volume. INTW, grant shares. Yeah, we'll throw it on there too. All right, copy these guys. Again, put it on the perplexity. Add comma. All right, now let's check our Stock Talk Insiders plays. And again, these are, I say this every time, and I will continue to say it every time, these are pullbacks on tickers they've noted. It doesn't mean they're still actionable from their due diligence, from their plan. I'm just got them on there because one of them has mentioned them, and I'm just sort of tracking them. So EQT, not for me. MG&I, you know, that's one that has been tracked by pros on here, so I love it. IONQ. So are the quantums ready to make another move? Look how tight it is right here. So I'm gonna put it on the list because of how tight this is. and that's the only reason why. HII, yes, with that, I will put it on there. It's got nice hammer, bullish reversal bar. Katos, we already have it on there. Riot, not for me. Meta, so yeah, upside reversal bar on accumulation volume. It's a little loose. I mean, no doubt it's a little loose here, but we know communications are looking super strong. So I see no reason Meta wouldn't follow Google. Rocket Lab, we already have it on there. AAOI, no. Crowd, yeah, little potential off the 200 day. I saw Pup. I think that's why it's on there, because I saw he has as a potential technical setup. So I'm gonna tag along on that. CCJ, because of CCJ, yes, I'm gonna put it on there. CCL, no. EUAD, really want to get in that one, but just don't know if that's the spot. Let me put it on there though. And then LAC. So lithium, if the batteries are moving, then the lithium should be moving, right? So we'll put the lithium play on there. And then jets. Not no. Don't like that tail. So copy those. And then I've got a couple that I'm gonna add on here in the interest of time. NBIS. CTGO is a lithium play because I was watching those batteries. USAR, military metals. UVixie, because I have some concerns, so I'm adding that one on there. LEU, even though I said no, is looking a little weak. I'm gonna put it on there. MGNI, we already got. Netflix, because of communications. Meta, we already have. And then SoFi, which is my little pick of picks for things. And then AMPX, which is actually one of the pros had that on there. I was watching them now. Add, comma. So those are our plays right there. Now we're going to go ahead and take them and put them on Trading View. We're going to check our 5-day to finish up tonight. Create a list. 9, 8, 25 setups. And a couple of these we may knock off. You know, we'll put them on there and check them out here and see what we got. I'm just a lot more comfortable with the Trading View screen, always will be. I trying to use more TrendSpider, but I like it more for the research. So LSCC. So I'm looking for accumulation volume, and I'm looking at my 5-day. So here's my 5-day. 5-day is moving sideways at best. That's this red purple line right there. It's right off that 1020 cloud. You can see I used to play LSCC a lot, haven't in a while. Grab some wine. I'm gonna it's kind of in no man's land. Yeah, I'm gonna take it off. EVLV. I just like that one, man. That's a good low volume pullback. AI infrastructure. It's fresh. 5 days turned down a little bit. Boy, that's a strong close. Look at that close down here. I mean, move through the high of the day. Pretty much we got to get through that earnings VWAP. I'm leaving that one on there. It's fresh. Katos, we know we're leaving that one on there, so let's just push through. Rocket Lab, we know we're leaving that one on there. Let's just push through. And then, of course, the 2 or 3X. MGNI, we know we're leaving that one on there. In the interest of time, we'll push through. Well, let's look at it because that's my favorite one. Oh, let's slow down. We can jam everything up. I dog it. I jammed up the Trading View. Sorry about that, guys. Let me back this thing off, bring it back. Well, That's not good. Let me get rid of some of these programs I got running. There we go. All right. So that's red looking good. Hope we got that on the list. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's red. Look at 5 days starting to turn out. That's looking good. So MGNI, oh yeah, mini coil, upside reversal. Yeah, right off that $25. Oh yeah. Prior pivot right here. Add that on there so we know it's there. Yeah. Through that high of the day, it's gonna put it through that pivot level. Look at that. That's beautiful. I like it. 5 days a little steep still, but it's enough to play it through that $25. SRAD looking good. Like it. AL and Y. Yeah, looks good. That's that bio play. Fix AI infrastructure. No, don't like that. No accumulation volume. That's gone. MNSO. Sorry about all the lines, but yeah, looks good. ALNY. That's that bio play. Yeah. And CQQQ. So that's that China technology ETF. I'm taking that off there. It's just not me. SOXL. I would like to get aggressive on that. I could see it, in Vita and everybody melting shorts faces off. Look at 5 days slightly turning flat. Yeah. Through that high of the day. I'll take that. That might be a good one. God damn it. Monteith just said the more he thinks about Oracle, the more it is to the downside. Damn. He's sharp now. No doubt about it. INTW, so we're 5 day turning down, not interested. IONQ. I mean, it's above the 1020 cloud, and we got this almost power 3 right here. I don't know how it's not a power 3. Leaving it on there. Those moving averages are tight and compressed. HII. It's hell of a move at the end of the day, but at 5 day, it's like it needs a little more time. I'm going to leave it on there, but not big on it the way that 5 day is. Meta, big on that one. Look at a 5 day flat through that high of the day. Really, it's just a buy and ride right through that earnings VWAP. Big boys are moving. You saw it. You saw it on the market carpet. The big boys are moving. Okay, crowd is my special little fat indicator right there, right? It's got the persistent improvement. So that definitely now has my attention. That one comes from PUP. And then 5 days turned down, but it's starting to flatten. There's signs there. So it might be a later in the day buy, but it's showing improvement. I see why it's on the list. And then CCJ, and we're kind of seeing setups because we have that newer play that's a security play as well. Is it EVLV? Yeah, EVLV. So that's interesting. CCJ, yeah, it's got the same thing, persistent improvement. So we're interested in it. Let's see if we can show you. Yeah, so there's persistent improvement down there and here. Let's see what happened. Hard to always see. There you go. See, right there. CCJ. So even though it's got the distribution volume, I kind of know, I'm dealing with those military metals, kind of a news driven thing, but definitely keeping it on there. And then the European defense stuff. So yeah, keeping it on there. So got a little bit of a list here. May have to trim it some more. LAC. Don't like that 5 day turn down. I do like the lithium battery plays. I do like the accumulation volume, and I do like that my relative rotation histogram is improving. MBIS, starting to show signs right here, tail end of flattening. It's an upside reversal. We know the play. We know the story behind it. So yes, interested. CTGO. So this is what I like better than LAC. In fact, I'm going to take that one off. And this one is the lithium play I like. Look at the accumulation volume. Look at the upside reversal. Look at the 5 day turned up. That's maybe my second favorite play after MGNI. USAR holding that 55 day turn down. No, thank you. You see my relative rotation histogram turn down. I'm not saying it won't go. It's just not for me. UVIXI. Okay, to me, this is showing signs of Wyckoff Springish right there, right? It opened and went straight up. That's opened equals low and went straight up. Drove up here, pulled back a little bit and closed right there on that key level right here. So it closed right off that level right there. And that to me looks like that's concerning. It looks like UVXY did a Wyckoff Spring. So I've got it on there to buy it through really at any point off the 5-day. LEU, 5 days starting to turn up a little bit, and we're getting relative rotation histogram, persistent improvement. Nice hammer bar through the high of the day, clear play right there. And then Netflix, I'm going to take it off the list. Got too much anyway. SoFi is my little play I'm watching for good move right there. Could be wrong. You know, it's got to go through the high of the day on intraday volume. We'll see. AMPX, getting nice and tight right there. Like the way it's looking off that 50, almost VCP-ish, right? Got that look about it. Look at all that volume back here, highest volume within a year. It's humongous volume, and volume relative rotation histogram improving. So through the high of the day. So that's the setups tonight. EVLV, Katos, Rocket Lab, MGNI, SRAD, ALNY, MNSO, Soxel, IONQ, HII, Meta, Crowd, CCJ, EUAD, MBIS, CTGO, UVXY, LEU, and SoFi with AMPX. That's pretty good plays right there. Appreciate everybody coming out and hanging with me about 10 minutes long. I'll get this recorded and posted and post the tickers as well. Thank you.